Good morning and welcome to the WRBPS Blueprint System series on evaluating a live website. This is part 2. Last week we covered content issues, search engine visibility issues, and meta issues. If that doesn't mean anything to you, then be sure to go back and watch next week's broadcast. This week we're going to cover link issues, semantic issues, image issues, design issues, and what call to actions are and how to utilize those. So some of the most important content is today, so we're really excited about that. Mitch Nelson from Biz Ingenuity is going to be our presenter. Tannen Ellis is here from myPreDiabetes.com, who has kindly allowed us to go through her new website and critique it, and our guests. So we're going to go ahead and turn the time back to Dennis for a short video, and then we'll be back to get right on this. So stay tuned.
Overlooking the great city of Salt Lake. Welcome to WRBPS Radio, live from high on top of the Wasatch Front, overlooking the great city of Salt Lake City. We're coming at you with information to make sure you are web ready. Are you ready?
Okay, we're back.
Whew.
All right.
Here we go.
Away,
Mitch, take
All
it
right.
away.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Well, Tannen, thank you for allowing us to dissect your site again today. Appreciate
I learned a
it.
lot from the last one, that's for sure.
Yeah, good. Good. I'm glad to hear that. So, well, let's dive right in. I wanted to cover a few of the things on the development side that we weren't able to cover last week.
Okay.
And as Leslie mentioned, those things are the link issues that we uncovered in the audit that we talked about. By the way, tell us about your experience with doing a site audit.
Yeah, it was kind of scary finding all the little loopholes and
Yeah.
unhooked up or double posted things on your website that you don't know.
Yeah.
Which is why Leslie's service is so important, because you think you know what a website's supposed to do, but you have no idea unless you're trained, and I'm not.
Yeah.
You know, I know how to post now, and that's about it. So it was shocking.
Yeah.
And I ran a couple of those free diagnostic tools, and boy, we were calling even before I got done running the diagnostic. But each of them came back with almost the exact same thing that you were saying, that there are some holes in my website. I mean, it's functioning, but there are some holes in some things that could be done better.
Which is normal. I think a lot of web designers don't build towards search engine optimization, and so there are a lot of holes in these sites. I mean, that's probably one thing you should look for when you're looking for a web designer, someone who does build for those things.
Right.
But it's not an uncommon thing to have those holes in your site. It's just a matter of fixing them so that you're not losing traction with the search engines rather than going forward. And I forgot to mention, I hope not many other people had the same experience as you, but if you do those free those free audits, you probably are going to get called pretty quickly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you'll get added to every call list there is, I think.
Yeah. Exactly.
So
in other words, there is a price.
Yeah, there is a price.
Even though it says free.
Yeah.
You're giving up your phone number.
Maybe worth it to put a little cash out. I don't know. So anyway, so let's jump to. I did an audit, like I mentioned last week. I pulled this audit from Raven Tools, so that's the source of this information that we're going over. So we got through. What did we get through again? We got through content issues, visibility issues, and meta issues. So we're going to jump into link issues real quick. I'm going to try to fly through the last part of this audit, and then I want to jump in and spend the bulk of the time on the design as well as the call to actions.
Perfect.
Or calls to action.
Yeah.
However, whatever is grammatically correct on that. Okay, so link issues. 28 internal links are broken. An internal link simply means that it's a link that points to another page on your same site. And so that means that the 28 of those links can't find the destination page.
Mm-hmm.
So like we talked about, you have some hidden pages out there, probably developmental pages.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably what they're referring to.
Mm-hmm.
So what ends up happening is that the search engines will trigger a low quality site signal.
Okay.
And it could obviously dock you points on your search engine rating. 8 external links are broken. So when external links are broken, it means that links that point to other websites cannot find the destination page. They receive a 404 page error or server error. If search engine bots find too many broken external links, they trigger a low-quality site signal to a search engine's algorithm, resulting in poor search result performance. Broken links can also create a poor user experience. So what that means is you've got links that are shooting off to other websites.
Right.
And 8 of those are broken.
Mm-hmm.
98 internal links are missing anchor or alt text. So you can actually put an alt text in the link, which is kind of like a meta tag, very similar. So you've got 98 of those. Those aren't huge.
Probably
you're not going to be completely penalized. It's actually in the code. WordPress, your site's below WordPress, right? Yeah, okay, that's right. Remember. So WordPress actually has a place for you to put that alt text in as a field when you're creating that link. Right below it, you can type in the alt text, which allows you to, if you're linking to apple.com /iPad, you can just put in the alt text Apple's iPad, or as an example. It just gives you a place to describe what it is, and then also it uses that as a tag in search engines. But again, it's not huge. That's one of the lower priority things.
It's icing.
Yeah, it really is.
It makes the cake. But
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it sounds like a really simple thing to do, but once you create the link right underneath, I just skipped over it because nobody told me what that was.
Yeah.
I didn't fill it out.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, one of the things that we mentioned last week is Yoast, YOAST. I'll put that in the comments. As a plugin for WordPress, and that will kind of walk you through. So it asks you or suggests that you do those things. And meta tags are really simply little snippets of information that describe what's on the page. So you don't see it on the page. It just describes what's there, that has your keywords and those kinds of things, so it helps your page be found. Right?
Yeah.
So when it says description, if you use that plugin, then it'll prompt you to do those things.
Right.
And I know.
I think the 5 minutes of training I received, they didn't want to bog my brain down there. Just like put a title in and go. Put a link and go. So,
right. Yeah, and it's, I mean, you can, cleaning house really works in phases, right? We attack the big things. If the couch is turned over, you're going to hit that before you start sweeping the floor, right? So, if the books are knocked off the bookshelf, you're going to hit that before you start dusting the cobwebs in the corner, So it's, there's a priority to things. Obviously, we're getting right down to the minutia, as I'm sure if we have any SEO experts out there, I'm sure they'll comment and be like, wow, you're really digging deep for this stuff. But, as you start to fix some of the big things, as you continue to clean house on your website, it'll only be the small things left. And as you knock all of these down to zero, you're doing pretty well. You're way ahead of the curve because almost nobody has a perfect score on these contests. So,
I just want to make a shout out. We got some people out there watching, so jump in the comments, guys. Let's hear from you. If you've got thoughts, if you got questions, that's what we're here for. And I threw out a roll call request. Love to know who is actually in the audience, because until you make a comment, we don't know. We just know you're there.
you're a number.
You're a number, and we want
Let's get a name.
We not want those numbers to be names. We want to know who's hanging out with us.
We want people. Okay, 10 external links are missing that same alt text. So you got 98 internal links, 10 external links missing alt text. 100 internal links are using a nofollow tag, which is basically telling the Google robots not to follow that link. So
how did I do that?
I don't know.
I don't know.
It would have been done probably on the coding end. So
Okay.
a nofollow attribute is used to annotate a link in order to tell search engines I can't or don't want to vouch for this link. In Google, links using the nofollow attribute also don't pass PageRank and don't pass anchor text. It's considered best practice to use nofollow attribute for internal links because you're essentially telling search engines not to trust parts of your site. So if you're using nofollow for internal links, it's
bad.
yeah. You're basically saying I don't even trust this page. So
That's my own page.
yeah, exactly. And you've got 100 of those, so
Wow.
those need to be fixed. And then you've got 2 external links using nofollow. So jumping on to image issues, this is the one that I always see the highest numbers on. It's not a huge deal, but again, it's part of that cleaning house. It might be a medium to low priority.
Okay.
You have 1,098 images that are missing alt text. So
Wow.
we talked about alt text. As of right now, and I know we've had a discussion several times on air about the future of where Google's going with images, but as of right now, the only way Google has to tell that they share with the public what an image is about is using the alt text, the description, the file name, and the title. So those things are things that you use to your advantage for SEO. And the biggest one is alt text. You've got probably, I would guess, all of your images are missing alt text.
Yeah.
So you can do that simply in WordPress by going into the media section of WordPress. I think it's actually at the top, and you can go through each one of the images, click on them, and then over on the side, that gives you an area where you can type in. You can type in alt text. You can change the file name. I think you can change the file name. But all the things that would be important for that. So, 31 images are broken, which means that for some reason, what the link that you have, so when you're displaying an image on your website, for example, here's your homepage right here, like that risk quiz, for example. That image isn't actually stored in that position. It's actually code with the link to that picture, and the server and the browser work together to go grab that and display it in that position.
Okay.
So what this means, where 31 images are broken, somewhere on your site there are 31 lines of code that are referring to an image that the server can't find the file for.
Okay.
So it appears as kind of a blank box.
Oh shoot. Okay.
With a strange little gray icon in the middle of it.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly, and that can vary based on your browser, but you'll look at it and be like, oh, there's supposed to be an image there. So, and finally, 2,479 images are missing title text. That's a lot of images.
That's a lot of images.
But
2,000
What that means
2,479.
is basically all of your images probably are titled IMG 1346725.
Yeah.
Completely and utterly pointless from the standpoint of search. But that's probably what you've got, is they just were the auto created, and what you should be titling them is a short, very short 2 to 3 word description of what's in the image, so that when people search for that issue, your image comes up because it's pertinent to what they're
So
looking
what
for.
you're saying is like the risk quiz, like a lady on a cliff. That's not what that's a quiz I want you to take about prediabetes. So what would you name that image?
Risk quiz, or maybe even
Prediabetes risk quiz.
Yes.
Yeah.
exactly.
Prediabetes risk.
You're going to be putting your
longer than 2 or 3 words.
Yeah.
You're going to be, and with a lot of times you want to put the underscore if you're doing file name. If you're doing title, use spaces, but put your keywords in there. If people are going to be finding you by searching prediabetes, then put prediabetes risk quiz. If they're going to be searching for you, or if they're going to be finding you by searching things like symptoms of diabetes, then put symptoms of diabetes risk quiz. So you just like your content, you just pack it full of keywords.
Or even diabetes risk quiz.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, nobody searches prediabetes.
Yeah.
They do
The number's
diabetes.
smaller. Yeah, much smaller.
And you can tag your images. Some people even tag their images with really goofy things that make no sense just to get people to look up and find out what they are.
Yeah.
So.
But if she put pre-diabetes in two different words, then if someone put in diabetes, wouldn't the diabetes word come up, or would it only show up if it said pre-diabetes?
It'd be way down there.
Okay.
So, better to do both. Better safe than sorry.
Yep. And by doing pre and then space diabetes, you still have diabetes in there, so you can use.
That's what I was asking.
Yeah, so that's without getting too far down that road. It's the difference between a long tail and a short tail keyword. So long tail keywords are considered multiple words, usually together in a string. You know, something like, how do I know if I have diabetes? Well, you can actually optimize for that entire string. It's called a long tail keyword. And if we know people are searching for it, then we'll use it. And what's cool is you also get all the short tail keywords in there, like diabetes, and know if I have diabetes, and how do I know, and you know, all these other things that we get out of that long tail keyword. So it's kind of a residual benefit of optimizing for long tail keywords.
And most likely, with the semantic web that's going on today, if you put in the two words pre-diabetes, it's almost for certain that Google's going to also take that and put it back together. So anyone who is searching for pre-diabetes properly written is probably going to find that content as well. That's semantic search, which is going into this could also mean type searching.
Well, it's funny because I think Google puts a space in there, but the doctors don't.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you probably want to optimize for both.
Yeah, exactly.
Does anyone hyphenate it?
Sometimes.
You can pull that. There's tools out there. If you go to the actually, if you just Google keyword tool, so you Google keyword tool.
I've got a list.
Yeah.
I've highly searched for it.
Yeah, exactly. They'll share. They've actually made it harder to use that tool now. They want you to be logged in using your AdWords account to do that, but because SEO companies were borrowing from it, borrowing data from it, but it's still there. You just have to dig a little bit. But you can get in and figure out exactly how many keywords, you know, what the variations of the keywords are and where they're being searched from, and who's searching for them. So there's a lot of data out there. I mean, that's what Google does, is they collect data and they resell it to people who want to pay money to use that data. So yeah, so there's a lot of data out there.
Are there any other tools that you want to mention?
I don't think so at this point. I may come across some recommendations as we get chatting, but yeah, Google keyword tool. Google keyword tool. Okay, so let's dive into let's talk about the design a little bit. Okay, can you see my
We're screen sharing
screen
right now.
here? Okay, cool. Alrighty. So the first thing I want to chat about, Tannen, do you understand? If I were to use the term bounce rate, do you know what that means? Can you describe that best of your understanding of it?
That means they got to that page and they didn't go anywhere else.
Yes, and they left. So someone, let's say that we're doing an awesome job. We've fixed all these errors, and you're starting to rank, and you're coming up first or second or on the first page for several keywords. People are starting to find the site. A lot of times, what we have happen when we get to that point is we see the bounce rate go up, and so that's when we start messing with the design elements. We start changing things. We start, we start manipulating and adding calls to action and changing calls to action, changing layouts and all sorts of stuff. And obviously, we've got a lot of data to go off of now. So recommendations that I'll be making, in this section, will all be centered around, the several hundred sites that we've optimized and gathered this data, and then kind of gives us a leg up. So, but if someone clicks on one of those keywords that we've optimized you for, and they get to your site and for some reason or another decide that they don't trust you.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they don't like purple, and you've got your doctor's link right there on the top, and it's purple. I mean, things as silly as that,
right.
People will bounce. The biggest one, I think, is people make an instant judgment about when they think the last time your site was updated.
Mm-hmm.
They'll look at a site, and if your site looks like it was from the 90s,
Mm-hmm.
then they're going to be like, no, I don't even know if these guys are still in business.
Right.
I don't want to be sharing information or even clicking on stuff. So I'm going to go to the next one down on the list.
And
so.
One other thing I know I look at, and a lot of other people do too, is I'll just go down to the bottom of the page and look at the copyright on it. If the copyright is 2010 or something like that, then it's another way I know that they're not keeping their site current.
You don't
or
have
you
a
look
copyright.
at their blog.
They don't even have it?
Or you look at their blog, and if they aren't, don't have any.
2015. I rock. Yay! I passed one thing.
You passed the test. No, that's a good point. And actually, I would guess that this developer was clever. There's some code that you can use to actually make it give the current year there, which is smart. I think that's a smart thing. So.
And if you're writing those questions down that you need to ask a web developer, that's another thing to ask them. Are you using that tool that automatically updates my copyright?
Mm-hmm. And I know that sounds like a small thing, but users make snap judgments, and usually you have less than a second to impress people and to wow people. The other thing that causes high bounce rate is people getting to the site and then not knowing what to do. Because usually people are coming to sites, and I say most of the time, unless it's like they know they're going to a blog or they know they're going to read an article. Usually they're coming to a site to accomplish something. And so a strong call to action, it may be, I like to think of it as half and half. Half of it's salesy, half of it's getting them to do what I want them to do, but the other half is providing them with what they came to the site for. I'm providing a service. You're providing a fantastic service for people that aligns perfectly with what they'd be searching for. In fact, have we taken the time for you to do? I think we talked about your business at the beginning of the last video, but yeah, I mean, so you've got this fantastic service. You need to be providing an easy way for people to get to that service. So that the other snap judgment that people make is they look at it and they think, what do I do? I don't know, back. And if they leave, just like you said, a bounce, a bounce is if they leave off of the same page that they arrived at. That's a bounce. They didn't click through anything. So, without getting too far into your data, your analytics, we actually, I don't think we came prepared with those today, but we can dive into some of the design aspects, and then we'll chat a little bit more. One of the things, and those of you who have been watching all of the HOAs that I've been involved with for Web Ready Blueprint will probably know by now that I'm an Apple fanboy. so I use Apple as an example for pretty much everything, but they really pay attention to design trends, and I would even say they lead the way when it comes to popular tech design. So using them as kind of a point of reference is never a bad thing, even if you're not as big a fanboy as me.
Yeah, let me just pipe in here. As an Android user and a Google nutcase, he's dead on. I mean, I may not like some of the things that they do, but from a design standpoint,
they got it nailed.
Nobody does it better. Let's be realistic. Though they did it even better under Steve Jobs. There has been a slip. But they are masters. So taking a cue from them is a great way to analyze.
And I'm sure that can be expanded into industrial design as well. But for the sake of what we're talking about, we're speaking strictly about design.
But it does also depend on what you want to accomplish. This is a well-known brand, and if you aren't a well-known brand, then your strategy would be different than theirs.
Right, and you need to adjust, and you need to take that into account. Also, if you're very heavy on the on e-commerce. I don't think they do a great job of pushing that from their website. They're a little more informational on their homepage, even though they do sell stuff on their website. The thing they have going for them, though, is if you're going to buy an Apple product, you're going to buy an Apple product. So, you know, I mean, it's, you know, they've got a lot of things.
You're saying right now, in the simplicity of this, the bar across the top is very simple and gets you somewhere, and each one of their products is outlaid, and the call to action, so that when you get to this page, you automatically have to click something else, which then cures the bounce rate problem.
Yeah.
Because they're Apple, right? Very few people are going to get to this part and not click on something.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're looking for an Apple. Mine is they don't know exactly what they're looking for.
Exactly.
So
And that was
it's a little bit harder, but I mean, this is very clean. It looks very nice. I mean, but I just can't see me having 5 of my products, which you know.
Which again, you've got to take this and adjust. So let's dive into this for a second. And mostly the reason I bring this up is for structure, more than what they're actually advertising. It's more the structure and layout of their site. So what you'll notice is if you go to any popular, and for the sake of speed, we can try loading. I'll even pull up. How about this? Microsoft.com for you Microsoft fans out there. While that's loading in the background, you'll notice that they have a horizontal nav bar across the top. That's what's popular right now.
Okay.
So several years ago, it was
down the side.
It's just not in anymore.
Okay.
So that may be something that, because you have a horizontal nav down, you do have the horizontal. You also have the vertical nav down the side. That may be, or may not be, for some people, it may be something that they look at and they think, when was this site last updated?
Got it.
And even if it was updated in 2015, it's not necessarily in.
Got it.
So, you know, horizontal.
What you're saying is you don't want to be wearing bell bottoms when skinny jeans are in fashion.
Right.
Right.
And Microsoft has the same thing.
Yeah. So horizontal nav across the top. Then the next thing is.
Can you show that Microsoft again? I wasn't screen sharing at the moment you did that.
Yeah. So we'll compare these. The screen's not big enough, but I'll bounce back and forth. We'll compare them side to side. So the next thing is you have a content slider here. And Apple sometimes puts a solid image here. Sometimes they have a slider. But point is, you've got, this is where your eyes go, is this area right here. Now we have. There's a newspaper print term that's been around since newspapers were a thing, called above the fold. Yeah, you've heard it. And for those of you that don't know what that means, when selling newspapers, they fold them in half, obviously, because newspapers are really tall, and then they stack them, and you've got a big stack of newspapers sitting on the ground, and you see the headline and the big picture that goes along with that headline. That's called above the fold. So any content above the fold is what's selling that newspaper on the cover page. Any content you have above the fold on your homepage, which means above the scroll line when it loads, is what's selling your site to your viewers. And when I say selling, I mean decreasing your bounce rate. So a lot of times what people do is they'll throw a video in that space, or they'll throw a slider in that space like Microsoft's done. You see that they followed that exact thing. Right below the horizontal nav and the logo in the top left, they've got a slider. And what do they put in the slider? They put, in this case, 2, but I recommend 5 to 7 of your main focuses. And that can include calls to action. It can include products, services.
Can you pull up burtonlumber.com?
Yeah.
Because these are big, giant companies. If you want to look at something, you know, here's something that's a Utah company. You know, they're a larger Utah company, but they're still a Utah, you know, company. And same thing here.
Yep.
If you look at the different sliders that come up here, and you can even make them go faster if you want. Every single one of the sliders in their banner, it changes, so it keeps people's attention. But every single one of these has a call to action in it, right? That's where your risk quiz should be. That's where some of those other things that you have on your site
call to
should
action?
be.
I mean, what is that?
Over here, the button.
Recycle, reuse, and button. It's obvious. It's obviously a button that you click on it to do something. And so every one of these sites, Microsoft, Apple too, when you look at their page, if you're coming there, you know exactly what they want you to do.
Yeah.
And it's that power of suggestion, that subliminal thing. You've got to remember you've got 7 seconds or less to get somebody to engage with you, or they're gone. So if you're not clear about what you want them to do, they're definitely not going to know what to do, and they're going to bounce.
Yep. Got it. And you've got to put your call to action in the form of a command.
Got it.
View the gallery. Here it is. View the gallery. It's talking. It's speaking directly to you and telling you to do something. Click on the button.
Very clear and not confusing.
Fill
not a
out
whole
the
bunch
form.
of them. Yeah, not a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
Like you've got yours kind of all over your page.
Right.
But if you have the slider, then whatever your call to action is front and center, right in front of them, and it changes. So if that one doesn't appeal within a few seconds, then you've got another one that will come up. So that's where you want those.
So the other thing I wanted to point out, and you'll notice this is Apple's entire homepage. So they've got the horizontal nav across the top. They've got the slider / main content area, which is either a static image, or it's a video, or it's a slider. And we've had mixed analytics on everything. Right now it seems like static images will work a little better. But it's so close that you could use any of the three, and it would convert well. And honestly, the more obvious you get about your call to action, the better. We've got sites that are very, very simple in their design on purpose to draw more attention to the call to action. I'll show you an example. This is a real estate investing company, education company here in Sandy, Utah, that we have as a client. And on purpose, we did a very simple design for them so as to draw more attention to the call to action. We'll let that load for a second. Okay, here we go. So they've got a video. We've got the horizontal nav across the top, right? We've got is that playing through? Sounds that. We've got the horizontal nav across the top. We've got all the design elements that we talked about so far. But then we've got this video which starts playing immediately, and we've got below that a big image that says free workshop, real estate investor education, find out how. So they've got a check here. Someone made $118,000 on some real estate deal. Find out how. Pointing right over to this this submit button that's part of this form they want you to fill out. First name, last name, phone number, email address. Can't get more blatant than that. Big orange arrow pointing to what they want you to do. Fill this out. Find out how. And use like I said, use command language. So the next thing I want to point out is below that, without fail, on a successful home page in 2015. And notice it's very, very image driven. It's not verbose. It's not on the home page anyway. You can drill down into that content.
Right.
But on the home page, it's very, very image driven. Images will drive action more than text will.
Right.
But we call these mini features. So this is your mini feature area. Apple has 4 of them. Microsoft has 3 of them. What you want to do, and see, Microsoft does what I think is a little more than you should on your homepage. They've got these other areas down below with a extremely long footer. I think if you cut that off right there, it would be plenty. Put a simple footer on there, but part of that might be because I just
I
just buy everything Apple sells me. So no, I really think that there's something to the minimalism there. They can drill into the content, and if you want them to find certain content, lead that with your call to action. You have 5 to 7 sliders on your slider, which I think is a great idea to sell them on 7 different points. You've got your entire sitemap, or all the important pages in your sitemap anyway, in your nav bar. The 5 to 7 most important are repeated in your slider. And then the 3 or 4 most important of what's in the slider are repeated again in the mini features.
Maybe with a different image.
So
Same thing.
yeah, but repetition is what's going to hit that. So you can get to iPhone here, you can get to iPhone here. So that's.
What happens if you go over the iPhone on the image down below?
Down here?
Can you hit it?
I don't know if. Oh, looks like they're doing the watch. I don't know.
That's something
With
where
that.
the image wasn't relevant to.
Something new.
Mhm.
So I guess they've got some article that they're trying to push you into, which is fine. Whatever whatever they're trying to push.
Mhm.
But okay, so now coming
I'm
back.
busy. I'm
Yeah.
very busy.
Now well, one thing that sticks out to me immediately is you're using up space by having that vertical nav.
Wait, what?
That vertical navigation over here.
Well, the other thing too I want to point out is if you put the cursor there, what is that? It's not clear to anybody what it is. It's so tiny you can't read it. It's wasted space.
And I'm sure it's important.
Yeah.
Otherwise you wouldn't have put it there.
Right.
But exactly, what is it? No one really knows. So make it more clear. You can make people click on that simply by thinking more in terms of a call to action. So what could we change then, Tannen, to get people to click on this?
Well, it's a special report or like a white paper. So it could be download your white paper and then
Great.
So
Could-
if you so if you took that banner
Mhm.
and you took your risk quiz, you took that call to action to get that report, all those different things, and put them in that slider with that call to action front and center and very clear, then you're going to have much more success with click through then.
And you have a whole slide full width all the way across the screen to explain to them what that's all about with a call to action. And that's something that I like about a slider is that it naturally decreases bounce rate because it's movement. So in using just the single footprint there, like let's go back to Microsoft here, and using this single footprint, they can tell me as much stuff as they want to tell me. Let's jump over here. They're using a single footprint and they're just recycling data. Burton Lundberg is probably even a better example here. They've got about nine slides on here, and without having to scroll, I just sit here. I sit back and watch, and I get to read their their service and integrity. I can read all sorts of stuff about their business and their site and their offerings, and they're feeding me calls to action and making me want to click on things, and they're doing that without having pages and pages of information. So by being busy, what you're doing is you're actually pushing people away. By adding that slider, you give each of those things a chance to come to light.
I had a slider, and I thought because of all the other stuff, it was too busy, so I made a distinct image. Because I'm like, it's too busy, and I didn't realize it was the stuff down the side.
Yeah, it's
I liked the stuff down
reverse.
the side.
So what you need to do is take all that other stuff and push it into the slider, and then then you're moving in that direction. So it's not any of this information is bad because it's all good, I'm sure. It's just how it's presented.
Right.
And actually, your homepage isn't too long, so that's good. You get a little verbose here. I don't think anybody's going to read too much into these paragraphs on a homepage.
Okay.
What you need to do is figure out how to represent.
By the time I put it up here, I swear to God.
Yeah. Right.
It changed so quickly.
Yeah.
But I see it now too. I mean, it's much easier to search on Apple and Microsoft. It's just easier.
Yeah. Well, and it's easy when it's put into terms that identify it. You don't really identify that stuff, and you'd never realize big rivals like Microsoft and Apple, their sites are basically the same. You could draw stick figures of their sites. You'd only have to draw one because they're both the same.
Yeah.
Exactly. So.
But they're doing something right? They're
Exactly. Well, and so we get to take advantage of the hundreds of millions of dollars that they've spent over decades developing, to figure out that stuff. So
replicating to R&D.
Yep. Exactly.
And make sure, especially if you're doing your own site, because a web designer will know this, not to use Flash to create animation.
Yes.
Because it will not populate on a mobile device.
Right.
So make sure that you're using something that
Yeah, you want something that's responsive.
Yeah.
Show me that. Didn't you shrink it down? Can't you just shrink it and see if it'll go what the page would look like if you were to put it on my phone?
Yes. Let's take a look here.
I
So
think mine goes on my phone. Mine should go.
Yeah.
if it's responsive, well, I guess this will. Oops.
And that's another thing.
I'm not
It'll be
used to
interesting to
Windows.
see what yours does, but there's a lot of sites that call themselves responsive. But if your site just sizes down really tiny onto the phone, so it looks nice, but they can't read anything, and they've got to stretch it, to go and be able to find anything. I mean, you may as well not even have a
Yeah, there you go.
responsive site.
No, it's responsive, but it pushes you to those sidebars, which are not pretty.
But at least it's large enough that they can
Yeah.
read it. There's,
I think this does
this
it
is
well.
a better
Mhm.
kind of responsive site
This does it
than
well.
one of those that just sizes the whole image
Yeah.
down really tiny and you
Mhm.
can't read it and have to stretch it and
I got
scroll
one
around.
more good point. I
Yeah.
learned 2 today. That's it. Thousands over here, 2,471. Bad.
But the good ones are important.
No, I agree. Just looking at those side by side, mine is way too busy.
So, and most quality WordPress themes,
Mhm.
and use a theme. I mean, if you're gonna get an affordable site
Mhm.
that worked really well, it's probably a quality WordPress theme.
Mhm.
Um,
That's a WordPress. I mean, I went to the.
yeah.
Obviously, I went to the graveyard and got that one because it's old.
Well, and there's some themes are better than others.
Mhm.
You know, when finding a premium theme, I like to
Well, how do you
use.
find the big one that looks just like that iPhone? What theme is that?
There's
Yeah,
a million.
there's tons of them out
One
there.
thing when you're looking at themes, make sure that you go and look at the reviews of those
Mhm.
themes, because
Mhm.
sometimes you can get a theme that looks really cool and everything, but if they don't have good technical support and they're not updating it constantly and all of those
Well, I
things,
think that's what's wrong
It's a
with mine.
nightmare.
Is I thought it looked pretty with the round buttons, and to find the round buttons, which
Mhm.
are on the side and on the top, I had to go. I mean, it took like 4 days for it to get over, and it's old. And I think that's some of the problems on the back end of my thing is because it's an old.
It's
theme.
an older
Yeah.
theme,
It's
right?
another thing, and they're not updating it. Now
Yeah.
I'm behind the times.
Which can cause compatibility issues
Exactly.
with.
when you put plugins.
Yeah. And that goes back to your hosting
Nightmares.
company.
Yeah.
So your hosting company should be paying attention to your compatibility
Mhm.
between your theme and WordPress and the server.
Yeah.
And anything else you've got, you know, the plugins. I mean, there's so much hierarchy there that, you know, they all need to work together.
Right.
Otherwise, the site doesn't work at all.
Right.
And that by itself can cause a bunch of these issues that we're
Exactly.
having.
I
So,
think that's exactly what's happening.
um,
So, like, how I'm a layman, and you say, go look at themes, and it sounds really easy to YouTube.
Yeah.
You know the hell you're talking about. But how would somebody like me, what do? Get in Google and say, look at themes? I mean,
WordPress themes. Yeah. Type in WordPress themes to Google. Yeah. I mean, like let's just do that now, just for fun. How much time do we have? Okay, I think we're okay here. If we look at some of the themeforest.net, that's one I've used hundreds of times.
Where's that?
Right here.
Forest?
Yep. WordPress.org/themes. Those are usually free. ThemeForest, they're about $50. Totally worth it because most of them are extremely high quality.
And they have good.
But aren't they going to have the same? Or is
Elegant
there so
themes.
many out in the
No,
world?
there's so many out there, and there's so many developers, and they're.
Mhm.
But like Leslie was saying, it's important, just like you would weight a review on like a restaurant on Yelp. You know, how many? It may have 5 stars, but how many people rated it? Was it one person? Because that's not really good sampling.
Mhm.
If it was 500 people, then yeah, that's a really good sampling.
Mhm.
So if it has 5 stars, it must be good.
Mhm.
And when was the last time that someone rated it? If it was last year, then well, that might be out of date.
Mhm.
If it was this year, then or if it was this month or this week, then yeah. If it's got 5 stars and it's got lots of reviews and it was rated this week, great. Then it means it's a good restaurant. I'm going to go eat there. If it's the same with the theme, when was it last updated?
How do you know that?
It'll say right. So if we jump into, let's just jump into Theme Forest here. And by the way, a good web developer, if you're using WordPress web developer, a good web developer will charge you a setup fee that will probably be significantly more than like $43, like we're seeing here. But it'll usually include the theme and the installation of WordPress, probably a lot of analytical
So is that
software.
the theme? That's what you would
This is the theme. Yeah, this is what you buy. And you can scroll down here, and you can
Yeah.
see right here, created February 17th, 2015.
So
Is that
would
the
you
day?
say that one's kind of busy?
And last update.
Yeah, it's a little busy. It looks like a magazine theme, though. It looks like someone who'd be blogging a lot.
But there's lots of different types of themes. So
Yeah.
that's another thing to be aware of.
Yeah, so that
Some
up here.
clients might need a gallery because they have a product or a service that lends itself to that. Some are bloggers, like Mitch said, or so everything depends on what it is that you're doing. And again, it comes back to what do you want people to do when they come to your site, and that will help you determine what kind of theme that you want.
So
as well.
This is a Blogger, absolutely. This is a Blogger template right here, which is going to be a little bit more busy. Doesn't necessarily follow all the rules that we've been talking about. We've been talking more business, which is going to be here in corporate. So we can drill down. And this is we're using Theme Forest, but you can use literally any of them.
I just want to find one that you say, oh no, this is a good one to start.
Yeah, yeah. So if you roll over here, you can kind of start to see there's a that's kind of a popular thing right now is that one-page look. So why don't we take a look at that one? And you can see what's cool is you can hit a live preview here. It opens up in a new tab, and you can actually see the theme in action. They've got several themes within a theme. So we just get to pick one. Let's just do that one. And it'll actually load the theme with sample content or dummy content on it. So looks like HTML5. That's good. You can tell by right-clicking on it. Okay, so we come in. This is what our site would look like if we use this theme. Most sites are give you control over the colors. We talked about colors in our preparing to build a website HOA that you can go look at, but you can just find a hex code using a color picker and plug it in one space, and it'll change all the yellow to blue or all the yellow to red or whatever.
Just real quick, remind them that a hex code is what they want to look at. Yes.
So colors, in a nutshell, there are many different ways to represent colors. So the wrong way is by a word. Orange or pumpkin or blue. If you say blue, that could mean a number of things. It could mean the color shirt that I'm wearing, or it could mean the color shirt that Dennis is wearing. Show me your shirt, Dennis.
On camera, sure.
Yeah.
Or it could mean these socks.
Yeah,
or
right.
It could mean these socks.
Exactly. Right. So
very confusing.
So by telling your web designer blue, that's the biggest mistake you can make when it comes to branding. What you need to do is find a color, and you can find it using really any code, because online it's really easy. If you just Google a color picker, there's plenty of them out there. You can, let's say that you've printed your logo, and your printer asked you to find a specific Pantone color. Well, that Pantone color has a matching color in RGB, it has a matching color in CMYK, and it has a matching hex code color.
Oh, good.
So if we're talking web designers, they're going to want hex codes. If we're talking printers, they're going to want CMYK, or they're going to want Pantone. If we're talking, putting your logo on a TV commercial, they're going to want RGB.
Okay.
So it just depends on who you're talking
but if
to.
we pick that yellow and we get all those codes, no matter where it goes, it's the same yellow.
It's the same yellow.
It organizes itself, or it makes itself whatever color it's supposed to be where it's
most likely.
With the caveat that different screens and different browsers even can affect the color a little bit.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
You have to be aware of that.
Absolutely. So
as a web developer, how would you sit down with a client and help them make it through this process?
The way I do it is I have the client submit to me or to our team. I'm usually not the one to do it, but submit to the team at least 3 sites, if not more, that they really like the design of. And what they like specifically about the sites. And if you were to grab, I love the layout of Apple.com. I love the vibrant colors of Microsoft.com. I love the slider on Burton Lumber. I love this, and and as you start to piece those together, I can say, okay, well, these are all the things I have to work through, and then I can go through on a site like Theme Forest, wherever that went, Theme Forest or whatever I use as a web developer, and I can say, okay, I'm charging you $1,000 to give you a finished experience. Part of that $1,000 is paying for a well-designed theme, because that's really all that theme is just design. There's a lot of coding and a lot of this and that goes into it. If you know what you're doing, you can kind of hack it together, but I still recommend using a professional WordPress developer if you really want to do it professionally. So and then your designer is going to go through, and they're going to look at a bunch of different themes, maybe pull 4 or 5 that match your criteria and present them to you.
Okay.
Whether they do that within the context of this is a theme, or they say here's some designs that we put together for you, you know, they'll have you look at whatever, you know, whatever that may be. That's probably what they're doing. So, you know, we can come right down here. It's got 5 sales. Now, keep in mind these were organized when we were looking at them by most recent, but this was put up today. It's already got 5 sales and 8 comments. So, and it's got 5 stars. I don't know what it has.
Yeah, 5 stars from 5 people.
Oh, does it? 5 stars for 5 people? No, it doesn't have a rating yet. It's still really new. It was put up this morning, so which you can see here.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. High resolution, yes, which means for Apple users that it is Retina friendly. Widget ready, good. You want that. Compatible browsers. You want the Internet Explorers, and yes, unfortunately, every version of Internet Explorer is different. So you have to make sure that they're all in there. Firefox, Safari, Opera, Chrome. Usually Safari and Chrome will be cross-compatible because they're both built on a framework called WebKit. Bootstrap, awesome. WordPress 4.1, which is the latest. It uses PHP, CSS. So if you're getting into a lot of that code, you can find out a lot about the theme simply glancing at it. So if you've got certain requirements, usually you can see it in that at-a-glance report, or dig in, you know, further into details or whatever. So also gives you the ability to email the or to message the developer, which is cool. So you can have a conversation, whether it's on support or you're asking questions before you buy. So now, once you've got all that together,
Yeah, mine looks like it's in kindergarten.
well, that's okay.
At least it's up.
That's in COVID.
At least
Yeah,
you got started.
Yeah.
We got started, yeah.
Yeah, you're going in the right
And
direction.
tell them what to do if they already have a site that's up and they want to develop their new site somewhere else, so that then they can just flip it over to that when it's new, right?
Yeah,
Tell them some of the options for doing that.
Well, the way we always do it, like for example, Tannen, if you were to engage BizIngenuity, which is the company that I'm with, to build a new website, so that we're not taking any of the traffic away that you would be getting from your site, and whether that's organic or whether that's from users coming back to the site or whatever the case might be, we don't want to disrupt that. So what we do is we set up a developmental environment on a separate server, something that only you and we have the link to, but you can watch the site be built, and we'll build it live. So over the course of whether it's on the short end it's 10 days, on the long end it's sometimes more, but usually about 4 weeks. So
depends on they're getting their information.
Depends on a lot of things.
Depends on you, the business owner.
Yeah. Most of the time it depends on the business owner. But yeah, 10 days to 4 weeks. Over that period of time, you can see kind of how your site's progressing and developing without us interrupting your current site. And then when we finally get the site to a point where you say, yeah, we're ready, let's launch it. Then it's just a matter of changing the name servers, pointing your domain to this site rather than to this site, and boom, it's done.
And then the old site can still be redirected if you wanted to as well.
Yeah, you can put that on a different URL.
Just the domain. They wouldn't ever see the old site.
Okay.
It would just, the old domain would redirect it. Or maybe not the old domain, but where it was.
So couldn't it be myPreDiabetes.com?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we just jump into the domain and point it to a different.
Okay.
It's like, to use an analogy, it's like when you move. No one has home phones anymore, but it's like when you used to have a home phone and you move and you keep the same number. They just point to a different house. It's the same number. They just point it in a different direction. So it's the same URL. You just point it to a different site.
Got it. But you have to have a different URL to develop it on, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And that would
so we can switch all that around as we're making it live.
And we talked about some of the advantages of buying multiple domains for your site. That's one. Some of the other advantages of buying multiple domains are using them for landing pages, for your call to actions, or different things like that. And each of those, even though they're a different domain that's similar to your main domain, can all still be pointed, back to a part of.
So explain if you're just using a landing page, right? Because a landing page could look like that, right? I mean, not that it would.
Yeah.
I mean, a landing page is it just one page of click here, read this, and go here, or is it as I mean, what's the difference between a website and a landing page?
Yeah, so a landing page has a broad definition, but really to funnel it down to one definition, it's where someone lands on your site. So if we're optimizing the keyword, diabetes, just as an example,
pre-diabetes, yeah.
We may have a blog post that is specifically engineered to rank for that.
Okay.
So that blog post may be a landing page for us.
Okay.
Or you'll have a call to action maybe in your social media with a link directly to that page versus your homepage.
Exactly. So it may be a page on your site. It may be its own domain with a single page site that looks a lot like the one that we did for 212 Wealth Centers or Wealth Workshops, where it's a very simple page and it's just directing them to do one action. And that's all that site does. It directs them to do a single action, and that's it.
But see, to me, and maybe I'm old-fashioned, but that landing, because I knew that was a landing page for your financial planning training, and to me that scares me because there's not a lot of information. I don't know who they are, what they're doing. All they want is my info.
Yeah.
So I mean, what's the difference between a full-fledged or looks like a website page versus the only way I'm getting any information about that company and what I want is if I give them my information.
Yeah, really, it depends on your industry. So we're going to make different recommendations based on the analytics that we have to go off of from different industries. We did a lot of research for 212 Wealth Center, and we noticed that some of their, I almost don't want to do this online. Well, yeah, I'm not going to do it online because I don't want to get anybody in trouble. But their competitors all seem to be doing a very similar thing. And so it's kind of what we talked about with Apple and Microsoft. Our first direction to go with it was they're doing very minimal landing pages. They're not doing big, robust websites with lots of information. And here's the main reason why with them, and this might apply to you a little bit. They're selling information. So the more information they provide for free on their site, the less chance they have of making money. When you're selling information or education, then you want to give them just enough to where they're curious. And you notice the first thing that pops up is a video, and it starts playing immediately, and it talks about, can't remember exactly what it's about, but it talks about how so and so became rich over over so many so many days or so many months or whatever, and he did it by following a certain system. Well, you can learn about this system as well. In fact, we're giving away part of the system at this free workshop.
Got it.
So all of a sudden, I want to learn how to become rich. I mean, who doesn't, right? So we're going to jump in and we're going to go to this free workshop just to test it out. So it's really it's a call to action in and of itself to maybe dangle a carrot, and that's what we're doing with that simple landing page.
So if you put up a landing page, let's say you're testing a market because you don't know. So I have a test for believe it or not, for thyroid, and it seems to be a big problem. Everybody thinks there's something wrong with their thyroid. So with the right keywords, with the right stuff, they might land on that thyroid page, which then could direct them back, and we will have captured information and gotten something. But then I also have one for testosterone, and maybe men don't surface much, but I put a page out there for testosterone, and we find that all the keywords for testosterone that we think men are looking for to find out if they need a test for testosterone is not working. So now I've got a working landing page and a non-working landing page. At some point, do you just change the color, change some content, and then at some point, if it's just not working, do you just take it off, or what do you do?
It depends on it depends on the analytics.
Oh, okay.
So we would take a look at the analytics and we say, are people actually getting to the page?
Okay.
If they're not getting to the page, what we tweak is the keywords.
Got it.
If they're getting to the page and then they're bouncing, then what we would change is the design.
Okay. But I mean, once you put a landing page up there, is it time and eternity that has to be up there?
No.
Or you can take it down if it's just not working?
Yeah, you can take it down. You want to be careful with removing too much content. You won't get penalized if it's within a certain percentage of the content on your site. But if you start removing up to like 20-30% of your site's content on a regular basis, then what you're saying is that the information I'm providing isn't permanently reliable.
So I kind of look at a landing page as a stair to get into the front door to get to your site. So if I just take away a stair, I'm going to get dinged.
It depends on the percentage of content that is on your site.
Okay.
For example, if I took one page away from that 212 Wealth Centers wealth
There's
workshop,
only 1 page. You'd be done.
yeah, there's like 3 pages on the
Okay.
site. So yeah, it would be a huge ding.
Okay.
But if you've got a lot of content here, I could tell just from your audit. If you took away 1 page, you'd probably be okay.
Okay.
I wouldn't make a habit of deleting pages. What I would do is, if you're going to abandon a page entirely, either there's strategies that you can use to hide it in the sitemap, or you can do I think it's called a 304 redirect, where if you remove the page, you can actually push it to a different page with similar content.
Oh, got it. Okay. And so, because a landing page to me looks like the front of a website, like where you go first, and then I think when you get inside the website, you drill down and you say, oh, there's an article that was written last month that I want to read. That's also considered a page, but that's more like a post. Right?
There's a couple of different things here. First of all, when he's talking about being careful of removing sites, he's talking about landing pages that are like prediabetes.com / and then the name of the page, right?
Pages,
Not
yeah.
the landing page that's under a different domain. So
that's what I was talking about.
So that's one thing
to
to point out, right?
As a stair
Yes,
that's
okay.
pointed back.
Right.
Yeah, I was thinking
So-
you were talking landing pages on your domain.
Right. So
You're
that's,
talking about.
Yeah, so that's one point. The other point is that landing pages can mean many different things. So when you're talking about your testosterone one, it's when you put keywords out there and try to optimize that one page and everything and drive, hope that traffic comes to it. But landing pages can also be, and this is whether they're on your site or whether they're under a different domain name, you can push traffic there using your social media. When you said, well, that's just that they just come to the landing page and never create a relationship with them, that's a little scary. Well, a lot of landing pages you link to from your blog. So you can develop a relationship with them on your blog or your social media, and then drive them to a landing page that, in those landing pages, are giving them a specific call to action. So usually that would be where go here and enter your name and email and get the free risk quiz or whatever it might be. So you're going to capture some information from them. And then deliver the information to them. So usually they're going to be utilizing a call to action of some sort.
That's called a satellite landing page, by the way,
Okay.
if you've got a different domain. So I'll give you an example. In fact, BizIngenuity employs that tactic to get ranked for certain things. Like, for example, SEO, Sandy, Utah. That's where we're at. Actually, we're in Draper, but close enough. It's Draper Junior. We're in Sandy Junior, South Sandy right now. You'll notice that for the keyword SEO Sandy, Utah, BizIngenuity comes up first, but it's not BizIngenuity.com, it's SEOSandyUtah.com, which we branded as BizIngenuity, and it's a landing page where we're simply got a video that creates a call to action. We're simply gathering people's information. If they want to get to our site, they can by clicking on BizIngenuity.com. This is your quintessential satellite landing page.
That's what I was talking about.
And if you were to delete this, then the only effect it would have is we would drop that keyword. We would no longer be listed #1 as that, which is awesome. I love satellite keywords for that reason, because they're expendable. And we've talked about in our SEO there, we have a HOA that where Dennis and I got in quite deep into SEO and Google Plus. Which definitely check out. It's a really good one.
On the WRBPS system
on the web,
channel.
Yep, exactly.
On YouTube.
Yeah, there's a link. It's here. It's right here.
And we talk about the difference between white hat or black hat and white glove SEO. Black hat is kind of doing the sneaky, the get ranked quick, short-term, quick fix type things that Google doesn't want you to do. You're at risk of getting blacklisted if you get caught doing them. But they work. That's why people do them. And then there's a white glove doing everything by the book so that you don't get blacklisted. I never recommend that you do anything wrong. But if you're gonna do some black hat SEO, don't do it. For heaven's sakes, don't do it on your main domain.
Right.
Because if you get that blacklisted, you can never get it back. That's what a satellite landing page is for.
Well, and one other thing to mention about that too is that Another reason you want to highlight landing pages is if you're doing any split testing. So, for instance, if they went and looked at your analytics and they saw that people were clicking through to the landing page but then not, engaging with whatever that call to action was, then you might create 2 or 3 different landing pages that you could experiment sending people to and see which one gets the most engagement. And once you know which one gets the most engagement, then you might want to take that landing page and actually put it on your site, because now you know that's an effective one, and you want those hits coming to your site, being able to take advantage of those analytics.
And the other cool thing about satellite landing pages is because you target so specifically a single keyword. Obviously, the one we were going after was SEO Sandy, Utah. You see here, we're number 1 on the organic listings. What you see above here, for those who don't know, these are pay-per-click ads. They say ad in the little yellow box there. So we're number 1 on the organic listing for that keyword search. But because of that, we're also number 2 right here. The video that we put on the landing page is listed as number 3 because we did the alt text and the description and the title and the file and all the things that we talked about today. Our video ranked number 3. So pushing even, Sandy, Utah SEO jobs down to number 5 or 6. Our Vimeo, it's the same video, just on a different video engine, because we tagged it right and because we titled it right and all the things we talked about today. It's listed as number 4. And then we've got a separate listing out here listed as number 5. So we're actually the top 5 listings for the keyword we're trying to search for, because we did all the things that we talked about. And one last thing as we're wrapping up.
And let me just say really quick too, if somebody wants to buy different domains for their site and everything, we'd love it if you went to WebReady, blueprintdomains.com or WebReadyDomains.com.
WebReadyDomains.com. Put that in the comments.
I will put it in the comments.
So one last thing I want to show you, and I know it's one thing to plug my SEO company doing SEO for ourselves, but I'll show you an example of a client that we've done. So they're a trying to blank here, appraisal management company in South Jordan. And South Jordan, for those of you who aren't familiar with the greater Salt Lake area, South Jordan is probably the biggest booming area right now for appraisals, and it's because of a development called Daybreak, who everyone in this room is probably familiar with. But they wanted very specifically to be listed for that keyword. Their company's called Home Base Appraisal Management, so I'm just going to run a search for that real quick. So for this keyword, because of all the things we did for them, which we talked about a lot of them today, you'll see that they're the only map listing, right there, Home Base Appraisal Management. And again, their name isn't in there. This is Appraisal Management South Jordan. This is a keyword they want to be listed for. Their indexed homepage, their indexed website, which takes up the space of like 3 listings, because we got their site map indexed and everything, is number 1. Number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7. They're every listing on the first page.
Wow.
So someone does a Google search, and they're in South Jordan and they're looking for an appraiser. Who are they going to call? Not Ghostbusters. They're going to call Home Base Appraisal Management. Why? Because there's no other option on the page. And that's what good SEO can do for you.
Now, one other thing I just want to point out here, if you were to do that same search from a phone and you were in South Jordan at the time you did it, you wouldn't have to put in the word South Jordan to get the results you just saw.
Exactly.
Because
local search
would automatically input your location as a priority point.
Yes. Absolutely.
So, you know, on a computer you do have to put it in. But otherwise you could get that just on a cell phone. So SEO is really important stuff.
And you know that that's how people are typing it in. What if they just put appraiser in South Jordan?
Some are. We, based on the analytics that we pulled, most people are searching for it that way. Okay. And this isn't, they don't have a huge market.
Yeah.
Usually it's lenders that are searching. A lot of lenders have relationships already.
Mhm.
So, you know, it varies based on, you know, you're going after consumers. These guys are going after a very specific business
Yeah. So
business
they're-
niche.
how do
So,
those guys
so
think?
their analytics that we're looking at, you know, they get excited about 4,000 searches a month.
Mhm.
Whereas for something that you're in, we're going to get excited about 1 million searches a month.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it just it's relative to the area that they're serving as well as you know, the demographic that they're serving. So in this case, this is really exciting for these guys, but you know, they only need 50 clients to do well. Actually, these guys are. I talked to Michael, who's the CEO of the company, and they're like on the top 500 fastest growing or 5,000 fastest growing companies in the nation. So they're doing amazing. They're doing awesome. So I think we can take credit for a little bit of that.
Yeah.
It's all your work.
No, I mean they work hard. I
Where
can't
you
take.
exist now.
I-
It's online.
What's
I
that?
mean, this is where you exist. It's online.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So anyway, I wanted to plug that a little bit. But, any questions from anybody in the room or anybody out in internet land? Any questions in the comments, Dennis? Wow,
No.
that's rare. We
Yeah.
usually have a decent.
Unusual.
It's been quiet the last 20 minutes.
That means that I've been doing a really good job of covering the content, so that's credit to me.
Okay, that's where you're going to take it.
Yeah.
That's right.
Or everybody's like, that website is so bad.
So what are your takeaways, the most important things that you need to do on your website, Tannen? What did you learn?
It needs to be cleaned up. There's too much clutter. In comparison to what's happening now, and when I started it a year and a half, 2 years ago, a lot of things have changed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay to change your website.
Mhm.
It's not like a house that you build that you never change.
It's always a work in progress.
It's always a work in progress. And so there's a lot to do. It's funny that the sliding thing is now back, and I took it away because I'm behind the times. I should just follow Apple. Whatever they're doing is what I should do as close as possible.
Get out your skinny jeans.
That's good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so a lot of things made sense, and I think because of having an older, whatever that is, template
Mhm.
for my website, that a lot of those behind-the-scene links are bad, and it's because GoDaddy's not backing me up on the
No,
back.
they're just providing hosting.
Yeah,
That's
just
all.
so that and the security from the first one. There's a lot to do, and it's kind of scary. And I'm sure once I get that all done, something new will come up. And I just have to be okay with that, right?
But it's good to know.
It's good to
Now you
know.
what
Yeah,
you
it's
need
good to know.
And now you understand the tools that you need to have in your belt. So now you can go out and you can acquire those tools.
Yeah.
And that's just going to help you be successful in the future.
Well,
So-
it's just like you said, your marketing message is never always the same. So your SEO can never be the same, which means your website can't be the same.
Yeah.
And be okay with it. Personally, I would like to build it, keep it the same, and call it good, but that's not how it's done.
That'd be nice, right?
Yeah, it would be nice. I learned a lot.
Good.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
I'm
All right.
embarrassed now that my website looks like that.
Oh, don't be.
We'll get
Don't.
working on it.
It's a lot better. It's a lot better than a lot of them that I see out there.
It is. And you know what? We'll encourage anybody that watches this to go to your website, prediabetes.com, and check it out on a continual basis, and we'll see what Tannen's doing to take what she's learned and implement it on her site.
Absolutely.
So, all right, anything else that you want to summarize? Or?
No.
Okay, great.
So,
Well, we appreciate you joining us today. We hope that you've received great value and hope that you'll join us next week when we continue to cover some of these important elements of creating a more effective online presence. So tune in next week, same time, same place, Tuesday mornings at 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time at WRBPS.com on YouTube as well.
And don't forget to subscribe.
Yes, subscribe.